So how this all started was last October. I was visiting my family in Iowa, and I wanted to make a fun, unique toy for my little nephew Carson. And what I did was I took a stuffed animal, not this one, it was a fish, and I hid an NFC tag, which is just one of these quarter-size tags here, inside of the stuffed animal. I just kind of cut it, sewed it on, put it under this. What ends up happening is when my nephew puts his stuffed animal against his tablet, it plays one of his favorite YouTube videos that corresponds to the stuffed animal. It happens to be the song Fishy Got Drip. It's a small fish that I got at Walmart. So that's how this all started. Carson has an older brother, Liam. Liam's mom texts me and says, hey, Liam wants to know if you're going to do something cool for him when we all get together for the birthday party. So I had 6 weeks to put something together. What I did was I 3D printed these chess pieces and then put in the base of every chess piece an NFC tag. That in combination with some ESP32 microcontrollers and some fun switches, magnetic locks, LEDs, motors, magnets, you end up with a chessboard escape room puzzle box, and that's what this video is. I'm going to show you what I made, what it does. Spoiler alert, the kids loved it, and that's the reason I'm sharing this video, is because I hope you will find inspiration to build something similarly. Okay, so let's go into details about what this can do. If you'll notice, I had to make it quite large because I'm not super skilled at making things functional and small. I built this as large as I possibly could, so the squares are about 2.5 inches, which makes this a very large chessboard. And you also notice it's about 4.5 inches tall, and that is because I have to hide a lot of electronics here. This frame is made out of bloodwood. The reason I used bloodwood was because it looked cool and I didn't know any better. And then I found out that it's a very difficult wood to work with, and it broke some of my router bits and it created a ton of sawdust, and it's very difficult to work with. And I built this nice frame. I 3D printed all the stuff you see here. All these pieces were printed on my Bamboo Labs X1C 3D printer. The tiles themselves are also 3D printed. Hidden underneath the board there are hinges that allow some of these things to go up and down. Those were 3D printed. I used ESP32 microcontrollers to control the logic of what's going on here. And then I have a linear actuator that moves a magnet across the board. I've 3D printed some pieces that you can't see because they're hidden. So let's take a deeper dive into this. You can see I did some fancies. I tried to make it look nice. I tried to make the board look as I wanted it to be a beautiful board so that it was just sitting on a shelf. It looked nice. You can of course see that there is a power supply. Normally chessboards don't need power. I of course did the alphanumerics along the edge of the board. Those are 3D printed and then glued on. Again, like I said, all the wood is bloodwood, excuse me. So let's talk about how the game works. It's a puzzle book, and this puzzle book gives hints as to how to solve the escape room. So when you do solve the first puzzle, it kind of tells you that you have to put some specific pieces on a specific square. The square is E6, and so then the kids find E6.
Congratulations, warriors. My name is Princess Veronica, and I need your help.
So as we see at this point, the game is sort of now awakened. If we do nothing, every interval of time, the queen will let you know, hey, I'm here, I'm in my dungeon, you need to find a way to help me escape. You have to interview all the pieces, and they all have something uniquely said, coded by just a unique AI voice. So every piece has its own unique voice. However, you will soon discover after interviewing all of them that the two knights are actually twins. And you talk to one of the knights, they let you know the other sister's the evil sister. You talk to the other one, they say, wait, what are you talking about? She's the evil sister. So then if you return to the first knight, she confesses that she is in fact a spy for the Red Queen, and then she unlocks the gate. So now the knight has informed you that there's a key hidden somewhere that you can use to unlock the queen. So for the purposes of storage, the key is actually hidden in this compartment, but you can of course change the audio file to be anywhere. So basically at some point the kids will then go on a scavenger hunt and they will find this piece somewhere hidden. And then if they use that, this key unlocks the gate.
You did it.
So when they do this gate will then unlock. So now the lock has come open. I won't go into the specifics about what happens next. We can at this point talk about how we built it. So what we can see here is sort of all the inner workings of the board right now in its functional state. We can see the 4 side pieces over here that are all on hinges that allow access to this sort of hidden channel over here. This is, of course, the Queen's prison. This is where she is hidden. It's also where, during the puzzle, her family members, who you have to find, also get imprisoned with her in order to reverse her curse. And they all go into this prison cell together. Some supplementary pieces, which are used as just to move the narrative along. So the key that unlocks the prison cell and the throne that the Queen is trying to get back so that she can reclaim her power. Right now the board is in its startup routine. The red skull is illuminated. I'll give a close-up of that so you can see it from a better angle. Again, that was just a skull that was sort of cut into the base of the 3D printed tile so that when an LED light is shined from the base, it of course is only visible through the thin parts of where there's very little filament. Over here we have the MP3 module, which receives the name of a file over RS-232 from the other ESP32 module. It then takes that text file and plays it off of an SD card. So this module is very simple. Its job is to play files. And it's because the ESP32, if you've ever worked with it, is somewhat limited, and so there's a limit to what it can handle. So I built the entire audio system as a separate system that is really interacted with entirely through RS-232. So any system that can accept the name of a file. So you can also replace those files with your own audio. We see the relay, which is powering the magnetic lock. This specific tile here is 2 tiles together. I had to experiment with several different types of hinges. I was looking for a hinge that could be hidden completely, but that didn't need a significant clearance so that when you opened it, it wouldn't bump into the other boards. Kitchen cabinet hinges, the kind of hinges that you would see on the doors of your kitchen cupboards. Those meet all the criteria for what I'm looking for here. So these are just miniaturized versions of kitchen cupboard hinges that I printed at a small scale and that my 3D printer handled beautifully. And after, of course, several iterations, I landed on hinges that basically work. And then this here is the magnetic base for the magnetic lock. So this is just glued with like a Gorilla Glue onto a 3D printed tile. I have a hinge here so that you can pull it up, or a little handle, I guess I should say. I have a handle that I have also Gorilla Glued to this tile. This tile is the same tile that's used every single one of these. It's just a square with a line cut out. And then this is an acrylic green, hunter green paint that I applied. This magnet, of course, this is powered by the relay. And so when the system is not on, so right now, that magnet hasn't been disengaged, and so it's on. If I were to disconnect power, this magnet will now come up. And as I've said before, it's a very powerful magnet. I believe it has 250 pounds of staying power. So right now it'll lift, but then when you put this on, we see the power supply, of course, is supplying 24 volts of power. Servo motor that switches the polarity of this magnet, which is used for attracting this queen here, so that she can be moved up and down the board and flipped into her prison cell. This is the chessboard escape room in its entirety. Well, I hope you enjoyed watching my video where I explained how I put all this together and sort of the magic inner workings of this. While I didn't show you specifically how this puzzle functioned, mainly because it's really not that entertaining, there's a lot of audio clips and a lot of narrative, and the puzzle solving is the big component. Really, the mystery behind it is not more than just a few components, and you can of course build something like this yourself with your own audio files, your own narrative, your own use of how the pieces interact, and your own miniature scavenger hunts. But the general theme of this puzzle was the use of NFC tags embedded in 3D printed objects and an RFID reader hidden inside of another object that then drives a series of microcontrollers and motors and switches to have a fun time. And I really think this is an accessible hobby that anyone can do themselves. It required a handful of tools, a little bit of time. This was 6 weeks of work, and my nieces and nephews absolutely loved it, and I had a great time building it. And I hope this inspires you to do something wonderful and in the same vein. So thank you so much for watching.